Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and we're going to start by teaching about Judas. Can you imagine that? We're going to start the week by teaching about Judas. But in the book of Mark 14, we find this beautiful, beautiful thing happening. It says, while he was in Bethany, verse 3, reclining at the table in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. "Leave her alone," Jesus said. "Why are you bothering her? She's done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them anytime you want, but you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. I tell you the truth, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Then, the trigger of the betrayal. Then, Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. In this story, we find incredible generosity, and we find Judas. In the church today, we still find Judas, and we still find incredible generosity. With Judas, well, first of all, when you put it together with the other synoptic gospels, you see that Judases have big mouths. They're always critical, and they always have a bad attitude and a big mouth. It started with Judas being upset, and when you put the other gospels together, you see Judas was upset, and then he got all the others to be upset with him. Bad attitudes are contagious. The other thing you see about Judas is that he thinks anything that's done for God is a waste because it's not done for the poor. Now, really, he's using the poor as an excuse because when you put the other gospels with this, you see, he really didn't want to help the poor. He just wanted to steal. Sometimes in the world today, you find that people love to raise money for the poor. It's very popular to raise money for benevolence projects, and whole organizations build their lifetimes raising money for benevolence projects. But some of the groups are honest, and some of them, they're just like Judas. They're still thieves, and they get mad about people who want to give to Jesus and not give to the poor. But the other thing about it is, Judases in the church always criticize the givers. They're very, very harsh against the givers and speak very critically against the givers and harass them and speak bad to them. Why? Because maybe the giver is their antithesis. The giver is their exact opposite. They're the thief and the giver is the generous one, and they're convicted. Notice he didn't attack Jesus. He attacked the giver. Now, the generous people in church are also easy to recognize, just like this woman. They want to do what they can do for God. Now, brothers and sisters, sometimes you have to understand that you do something and it's not wasteful. You're doing it for God. You're not giving something to a person. You're doing what you can do as part of the plan of God. Jesus was about to be crucified, and he is anointed for burial before his death. This is part of the plan of God. When it comes to building buildings, when it comes to great projects for God, there are people that have learned, I'm going to be generous and I'm going to give to do God's plan. Yes, the poor we will have with us always, but there are times that our generosity must flow to God's plan. Now, those of you that are generous, don't let the critics, the big mouths with the bad attitudes discourage you, because, forgive me, if you listen to them, it'll only rob your future harvest. I encourage you today, let generosity always be a part of your life. And these bad attitude Judases, they're everywhere in Christianity today, and they always fight the givers. But I'm going to keep being a giver, and I'm going to keep giving to the work of God, and I'm going to keep giving to fulfill the plan of God. And if they don't like it, well, that's their problem.